Howdy, welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you're a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. This weekend is country footy round number 25, and there are some absolutely enormous contests to get through. And the country is hosting arguably the biggest game of the season on Friday night. So without further ado, let's get stuck in round number 25. Round 25 starts on Thursday night from Accor Stadium. South Sydney host the Dragons, and it is the Rabbitohs who are coming into the game as favourites at $1.70. The Dragons are $2.16 outsiders, and there are mass changes for both of these clubs due to injuries or even some returning this Thursday night. But you would have found that the Dragons at about Friday last week, the odds were already out. The Dragons were favoritised in this one, and the money has come in drastically for the South Sydney Rabbitohs over the past 4 or 5 days. So with the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Tallis Duncan remains in at centre. Ashton Ward and Jamie Humphreys are the halves pairing still. There is no Latrell Mitchell that's been named in the 1-17. In the forward pack, however, Colo Matangi returns, and he starts in jersey number 10 for the Rabbitohs this Thursday night. We all thought his season was done, but clearly he has worked vigorously to get back into shape to play this Thursday. Therefore, the back row is Host, Arrow and Hubner, and the interchange for the Rabbits is Mamazoulis, Smith, Cody Walker and Tom Fletcher. I'll just have a quick squiz at the reserves, and there is no sign of Latrell Mitchell in any way, shape or form, despite some reports or rumours suggesting that he will be back this Thursday night. So for the Dragons, this is where all the changes have come. They're going to be missing 3 of their forwards this weekend due to a concussion stand-down ruling. So for the St. George Illawarra Dragons, their 1 down through to 7 is unchanged after last weekend's tremendous effort in Auckland. The forward pack for them looks like Gula and Clemmer and Cook. That's the starting front row. Leilua, Halangahu and Murdoch Masilla are the back row. That's the back row. The interchange is Little, Lowry, Pacific Tonga and Tyrell Sloan does appear in jersey number 17, but we'll see what happens. The likes of Fatala Mariner and Viliami Fafita have been named in the reserves for this one. The Rabbitohs all year, they've been playing plucky. There was a portion there at the start of the year where they were pretty bad in defence, but these young troops have really stood up for Wayne Bennett. They do get Colin Matangi back. I think I'm going to have to go the South Sydney Rabbitohs to win this game 1-12 against the Dragons on Thursday from Accor. Friday nights have very rarely been as big as this, if ever. The first game on Friday night from 6 o'clock emanates from Glen Willow Oval in Mudgee. It is the biggest regional game in history. Penrith Panthers 5th take on the Canberra Raiders, who sit in first, and it is the Raiders who are outsiders at $2.29. The Panthers, they are $1.63. The Canberra Raiders are coming off of a bye, and in okay form. They suffered their first loss in about 2.5 months to the Dragons and then got back on track with a nice victory against Manly. Still a little bit clunky, but at least they got back on track, and now they've had a fortnight to zero in on the best team of the past 40 or so years, arguably. For the Penrith Panthers, they went down to the Storm after dominating for the first 60 minutes last weekend, went to Golden Point, and in my opinion, they choked. Panthers, they choked, and it's very rare that they do, but that's exactly what happened despite Nathan Cleary being at his best. So for the team list for the Penrith Panthers, they're 1-7 after last weekend, is unchanged. The forward pack is unchanged. Isaiah Yeo has been named on the reserves, so I think he will be included. The interchange for the Panthers looks like Schneider, Henry, Eisenhuth, and Sorensen. I would hazard a guess and say that Matt Eisenhuth will be cut and Isaiah Yeo, but we'll see. That's no disrespect to Eisenhuth. I'm just putting that one out there. For the Canberra Raiders, how do they look like? So for them, there was a rumour, there was hope there that Mr. Tamale, Sevilio Tamale, could have returned in this game, but he has not even been named on the reserves yet. So Jed Stewart does remain as one of the wingers, but their 1 down through to 7 is their ideal 1 to 7. The forward pack here, it's Papali and Tarpany starting with Horsburgh in the back row. The interchange is Patty, Sasungi, Smithies, and Mariotta. And that's about as far as it goes. The 18th man for the Raiders is Noah Martin in this one. So the Canberra Raiders and Panthers last met last year at GIO Stadium, where the Raiders pipped the Penrith Panthers. I think it was 22-18. Raiders played fantastically that day. The Penrith Panthers, I think, have overall dominated the Raiders over the past 5 or 6 years, or at least they've won the ledger that stands between them two. This is more of a story about the Canberra Raiders, that we've seen them take on Manly and win. We've seen them take on the Bulldogs and be okay for the first half and then lose drastically. This is the litmus test, because after this, the Raiders, they've then got the West Tigers, who are no easy beats, but it's this versus that. And then in the final round, there's a very good chance that the Canberra Raiders will rest players against the Dolphins. We'll see what happens there. So this is the real last big test for everyone to see how the Raiders do before finals do come about. And they're still 1 win ahead of the Melbourne Storm, but it's the Storm who have basically 100 points better points differential. So if the Raiders do want to win a little bit of silverware for the first time since 1994, they really want to get this victory. They want to continue the rage if they want to win the minor premiership at the end of the year. But the Penrith Panthers, they are now, they're wobbling a little bit, sitting in 5th position. They could be a team that win it outside the top 4, but obviously they would want to finish inside that top 4, with the Warriors sitting precariously. But we'll get to them in just half a minute. This is such a fascinating contest. I think this is the game of the round. It is one of the games of the season. And Isaiah Yeo, you felt his presence definitely missed last week. Maybe not the week before, but that was only against the Newcastle Knights. Sorry, Knights fans, for the drive-by there. But you definitely missed Isaiah Yeo's presence and his defense, his leadership last weekend in that loss to the Melbourne Storm. So Isaiah Yeo, I think, will be a late inclusion. He'll be massive for Penrith. But at $2.26 as well, following the value, I'm going to put faith in Ricky's Raiders. They've had 2 weeks to prepare, and they've been surprising everybody. It's going to be very rare to see Penrith, albeit it's going to be very rare to see Penrith lose 2 in a row, but I'm going to back the Canberra Raiders in, and I think that they can go to Mudgee. They've been everywhere else around the planet, and they've won. Why not go to Mudgee and pick up the 2 points, albeit against the Penrith Panthers? But I'm going to go the Canberra Raiders to win this one in a freaking cracker. And the second part of the best ever Friday night footy double is the Melbourne Storm versus the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs from Amy Park. The Melbourne Storm, they are $1.47. The Bulldogs, they are $2.67. And you'll find that for the better part of, well, maybe 10 years, definitely 5. Even though the Bulldogs may not have won on every single occasion, the Bulldogs, when they travelled down to take on Melbourne, they have given the Storm a hell of a lot of curry. So this is going to be very, very, this is going to be great to watch. So for the teamless news for the Melbourne Storm, Cameron Munster has been officially named as fullback with number 1 on his back. And the rest of the 7, 1 to 7, that beat Penrith last week remain the same. The forward pack, Joe Chan, Katoa, Liero start, and the interchange reads Garlic, McDonald, Kamikamitha, and Lasati. Ryan Pappenhausen and Big Nass has been named on the reserves. Actually, there is no Sean Blaw this weekend. That's why Joe Chan is starting in the second row. That's a little bit. That is a little bit of a blow for the Melbourne Storm. Sean Blaw has been really good for 2025. For the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, Tracy and Karaz, and Tuala. They are the back three. Sherry and Crichton, the centres. Burton, Galvin, the halves pairing. King and Hughes start. Kick out Preston, Salmon, the back row. And interchange reads Mann, Hayes, Curran, and Marnie. Looking into the reserves, Marcelo Montoya and Satili Tupanua have been named in the reserves, so they could be late inclusions. So someone like a Tuala could miss out. And then I don't know who would be plucked out of the interchange or even the forward pack to make way for Satili Tupanua just quietly. So Tupanua might have a hard time getting in, but the Bulldogs going down to the Roosters, it was a good fight inside the first half an hour, and then from that point onwards, the Roosters dominated. The Melbourne Storm were good. I'll just keep it at that. I'll just keep it at that. The Melbourne Storm were good. They were really good with Xavier Coates. I wonder how they would have played without Xavier Coates last weekend. Bulldogs are going to look back to bite back big time in this one, but down at Amy Park this time round, I know I just said before the Bulldogs usually have a good account of themselves when they travel to the state of Victoria, but I'm going to go the Melbourne Storm in this one, 1-12. Moving into the Saturday games, and game number 1 from 3 o'clock emanates from 4 Points Park, and it may as well be an elimination final. Manly Seagulls versus the Dolphins. The Seagulls $1.86, the Dolphins $1.98. Some would suggest that Manly Seagulls, or a lot of people would suggest that Manly season is done. It is alive by a skerrick. If they lose this one, it is well and truly burnt to ashes for Manly. And the Dolphins, if they lose this one, despite a good for and against, it's going to be hard to come back from. And they had a great account of themselves against the Brisbane Broncos. They were up 28-14 early on in the second half, but then the Broncos just activated their attack to level 5 and then were never headed. But the Dolphins, they did well against the Brisbane Broncos and a good fight back after, or response after getting slaughtered by the Sydney Roosters the week before. Whereas the Manly Seagulls against the West Tigers last weekend, despite Kohler, I would suggest, being the best player of the year for the Seagulls, they were pretty listless last weekend against the West Tigers. So for the Manly Seagulls here, Ruben Garrick is out. Tommy Talau comes in. The forward pack for them, Jastavanga remains at lock. Waddell and Trebojevic round out the back row, and the interchange reads Shop, Navale, Bullymore, and Sipley. And that's just about it there for the Manly Seagulls. Well, keep in mind, or just should be noted, that young Joey Walsh, a lot has been made about the young man. He has been named in the reserves there for the Manly Seagulls. For the Dolphins here, we have got Felice Kofusi and Francis Molo. They are back into the fold there for the Dolphins. Max Fengai also will be playing in at centre, so Hammer has reverted back to fullback. Trey Fuller remains in the 1-17. He plays in jersey 14. The rest of the interchange looks like Lemuelu, Nichols and Kerr. And the forward pack is Molo, Marshall King and Kofusi, with Fenafuiaki, Keeley and Donahue in the back row. Manly, they're gonna nudge out a win sometime over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Is it going to be against the Dolphins, or is it going to be against the Warriors in the final round of the season? DCE will win one more game at 4 Points Park, I have no doubt. Dolphins, I think the only time that they've travelled to 4 Points Park, they got pumped. They leaked 50 points to Manly. I think that was in their debut year. So this is their first travel back down to Brookie since 2023. Yeah, obviously very difficult. The market does say that it is very, very close between them. I just can't tip against Manly. Like, the Dolphins showed so much resiliency. They showed a lot of heart and character, as they do every single week, to come back from an embarrassing loss and get very, very close to defeating a Brisbane Broncos outfit that weren't full strength, admittedly, but in this one, I think the Manly Seagulls will lose. I'm going to go the Dolphins to win this game 1-12 and well and truly put the nail in the coffin of the Manly Seagulls for 2025. The second game on Super Saturday is from Seabus Super Stadium. The Gold Coast host the New Zealand Warriors from 5:30. The Gold Coast, they are $2.29. The New Zealand Warriors are $1.63. And despite the Warriors winning last weekend, both these sides are coming into this game in not good form at all. And it was only a month ago the Titans travelled to Go Media Stadium and defeated the New Zealand Warriors in a really good game of footy. So Titans hoping to do the double on the Warriors, but we know that when the Warriors travel to the Gold Coast, it is predominantly New Zealand Warriors fans that fill out the Seabus Super Stadium. So for the Gold Coast Titans here, it looks like Jamin Jolliffe isn't out. That is pretty decent sized out. So Fodawaker and Reg and Campbell Gillard start. The interchange looks like Keaney, Haas, Isaac Fa'asuamaleaui and Josh Paxton. Other than that, it looks to be about the same. Kelly, Fafita, Sammy. That is the centre wing combo, with De Groot out there on the left, on the right wing still. And then for the New Zealand Warriors here, so Ford and Lasika out, and Ford will not be back until finals. He is suspended for 3 matches at the very least. I don't think he's contesting it. So Ford's regular season is done, but he will play finals again. And then for the reserves, so Tane Tuapiki, Sam Healy, they have been dropped. They are in 18th and 19th position respectively. Tuapiki dropped. Don't know about that, but anyway. So the back line for the Warriors. So CNK, DWZ and RTS. Pompey and Berry are the centres, so Rocco Berry returns. Chanel Harris-Tavita and Tanner Boyd are the halves pairing, Boyd returning to the Gold Coast. The forward pack is Fisher Harris and Vaimolga, with Wade Egan in at hooker. And then Capewell, Niukure and Clark are the back row. And the interchange reads Tamare Martin, Iramia Toava, Stowers Smith and Halasima. Really like the work of Stowers Smith over the past fortnight in particular. I think he really looks like a first grader. On paper, the Warriors look the better team. The Gold Coast, they can do it. It's just, who do you trust more? Both these sides, I said, coming in with not the best of form. Warriors, they need to win. They need to win regardless of whether or not Penrith, what happens with them on Friday. Warriors need to win to keep that 1 point advantage over Penrith. So I think there's too much to play for here for the New Zealand Warriors. They do miss Jackson Ford, but Capewell comes back in. Berry hopefully remains injury-free for the rest of the year. I do touch wood on that. Halasima coming off of the bench. It's a good side. Should be too good. There should be too much here to play for the Warriors. So I'm going to say the Wars win on the Gold Coast. And the final game on Saturday is Parramatta versus the Eastern Suburbs from CommBank Stadium, and the Eels are $3.20. The Roosters, they are $1.35. So Luca Moretti is out of this game for the Parramatta Eels. Hopgood and Junior Polo are the starting front row with Riley Smith with jersey 9. Tuolangi, Jack Williams and Dylan Walker, they are the back row. The interchange for the Eels is De Silva, Geimer and Dury and Jordan Samrani. And then looking into the back line for the Parramatta Eels, Iongi starts with jersey 1 on his back, and Dylan Brown remains in the centres, and Joash Papali'i and Mitch Moses, they are the halves pairing. For the Sydney Roosters, 1 through to 7, so Junior Tupou is playing this weekend. Daniel Tupou out this weekend. Okay, I don't quite know why. Let me scroll down, have a look. It looks like, so Daniel Tupou out with concussion symptoms due to a HIA. Okay, so Junior Tupou playing out there on the Stings. He can still leap as high as Daniel Tupou can. So a Tupou for a Tupou. And the forward pack for the Sydney Roosters is unchanged. The interchange is Iowelu, Feketi, Butcher and Spencer Lenu. And that's about it. Sydney Roosters, really good. Really, really good. And they are the dark horse, or they are becoming the dark horse of 2025. I think the Sydney Roosters will go to CommBank, and I think they'll get a hard-fought victory. I just got a feeling that, these games over the past few years between Eels and Roosters since, the start of 2020, they've always been pretty entertaining, competitive contests. And I think we'll see another one like it this weekend. So I'll go the Sydney Roosters just to win 1-12. The Sunday games, there are two, and the first one is from Newcastle. Knights host the Brisbane Broncos. The Brisbane Broncos are $1.33. The Knights, they are $3.34. Brisbane Broncos getting a hard-earned, high-scoring victory against the Dolphins last weekend at Suncorp, and then the Newcastle Knights got done in by the North Queensland Cowboys. For the Newcastle Knights, Brodie Jones is out. Phoenix Crossland comes back in, and he will be starting at hooker. The interchange reads Brayley, Croker, Kant, and Salazar Liamoana. And that's about it as so far as changes go for the Newcastle Knights, with Vitano in at fullback for the Brisbane Broncos. So Jack Gajewski is out. Jaden Hunt, Ricky and Carrigan are the starting back row. And on the interchanges, Smoothie, Hetherington, Tolte and Jesse Arthurs. And that's about it for the Brisbane Broncos. Brisbane Broncos 13+. And the final game of round 25 is the West Tigers versus the North Queensland Cowboys from Leichhardt Oval. The West Tigers are $1.66 favourites, and the North Queensland Cowboys, they are $2.23. Oh, just hang on a second. This is what I'm going to do. Hang on.
Marshall skips away. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside.
Because that's all I'm going to hear this entire friggin' week. But don't worry, Brisbane Broncos. In a couple of weeks' time, you're going to be seeing and hearing a lot of this. After last weekend's performances, both the Tigers and the North Queensland Cowboys are unchanged. We know the story about the Cowboys. They've only won twice there since the year 2000, maybe 3 times overall in history. I was there for the 2021 victory. That was absolutely incredible. But the Tigers, to their credit, wasn't the greatest game of footy, but they did win pretty handsomely in the end, and they're in nice touch. They really are. They're building. You can see some positivity. You can see what they're building, what Benji Marshall is building. But boy, howdy, bro, Benji Marshall hates North Queensland, man. He absolutely despises the Cowboys. So I'm sure there is a seriously competitive, revved up West Tigers coming our way this weekend. And there has been a lot of bad blood since the 2005 grand final that has sort of gone up just a little bit. It's just bubbled a little bit over the past 3 years or so. So both these sides are taking a lot of pride, a lot of satisfaction out of getting a victory against each other over the years. And this game scares the absolute crap out of me. This is not going to be easy. It should be a really good game of footy. I'm looking forward to actually calling it this Sunday. But North Queensland, they're going to go down and they're going to walk away with the 2 points down at Leichhardt Oval. So Cowboys 1-12 this Sunday. Howdy guys, thank you very much for the continuous support. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much. Take care. Adios.